So last week I did a video about a potential predator. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But basically, there was a man in a grocery store who decided to follow me throughout the store, and it was a very terrifying / scary experience for me. I detailed it in that, and then I did a video. Well, I'll give you the little synopsis of what happened, and then we can go for what's actually transpired since then. So a week ago, I went to the grocery store. This guy was following me. I basically ended up telling the girl at the checkout. I texted her a little blurb on my phone and said, hey, there's a guy behind me and he's watching me and I'm uncomfortable. And she got somebody to take me out to to my car. I saw the guy in the line of sight, and I felt like at the moment, I didn't call 911 or anything like that, or the cops. In the moment, all I thought about was, get the heck out of there. I can see him in the line of sight, standing in front of the doorway, staring at me creepily. And I got a guy to walk me out, so as if I have him in the line of sight, I was able to get to my car and then get the heck away from him. So do check that out, because then you'll know what the heck I'm talking about. So what happened was, after I did that whole thing went, I did the video, but I also called the authorities. But here's the thing. I called them, and it was the non-emergency line, because basically it wasn't an emergency as it was happening. So I called the non-emergent line, and this is where it gets really sketchy, in my opinion. I told them, hey, this is the experience I had. There's something wrong. I want to give you the description of the guy just in case. It's not just about me. It's about all the girls after me, that might go through this and not have a positive outcome. The girl on the line, who was a dispatcher, said to me, and I'm not even joking, she said, well, it does us no good. You should have called us when it happened the hour ago or whatever it was. And I just said, excuse me, I don't understand. I'm phoning and telling you what happened, and you do not want the description of this man. Nope, does us no good. So I said to her, what happens if this guy goes after this girl and SAs her? So, assaulting her. And the woman on the line said, well, I guess that girl will call in. Now, this call was only 4 minutes long, and I thought to myself, actually, that was what I said to her. I said, so let me get this straight. You do not want to know this description of this guy, even though it could tie into a future attack, or if there's been complaints in the last, week or 2 weeks or whatever. She said, that's right. So she didn't take my name down. She didn't take the description down. She didn't take anything down. So I went home. Obviously, you saw what my video was about, and I was freaking out. So I woke up in the morning. I thought, this is not right. I don't feel right about it. I'm going in and going to go talk to an officer. So I go into the station, and I said, I'd like to speak to somebody. And I said, here's the deal. Why wasn't I being taken seriously? I just would like to know if I did something wrong or what I could have done in the future, this kind of thing. So the guy says to me, the officer says, I can't believe what you're telling me right now. I said, I know. I don't understand why this wasn't treated, or why it was treated the way it was treated. And he says, well, Linda, we have no record of you calling. And I said, this is crazy. So I showed him my phone and said, here's the phone number. Here, I was only on for 4 minutes. And I said, and that was a stretch, because I was asking her questions saying, I'm really shocked at how she's treating this. And she just didn't care, which was very surprising, right? So I spoke to him. He said, listen, I'm going to talk to my supervisor, whatever, the higher up in the chain in the police, and he's going to come talk to you. Great. So he comes, talks to me. I sit him down. I talk about the whole thing, the whole ordeal, what happened, including the non-emergency line and this woman and everything. He's shocked. He said, listen, I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to pull the surveillance. I said, beautiful. So I gave him the description of the guy. I said, go pull the surveillance. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And you'll see him tailing me throughout the store. Okay, so he goes the first day, and he said, well, there's a manager that was a warehouse manager, so I couldn't really talk to the right person, so I'm going the next day. So he goes the next day, and then he said, calls me back, and he was just confirming with me the description of the guy, and I told him. He said, okay, I'm going through the surveillance. So there was one thing that popped up as he was going through the surveillance. I said, I remember hearing something from a mom group that talked about an inappropriate man doing inappropriate things in front of teenagers. That sounds like the description of this guy. And he said to me, Linda, as you're saying this, I was thinking the same thing, that in recent months there's been the same kind of complaints about a guy being creepy, but he's being in public and he's doing, some disgusting things in front of people or women or whatever. So I said, all right, well, you go finish the rest of the video surveillance and then you let me know whatever else you need from me and we'll go from there. So this is another thing that, like, number one, the lady answering is ridiculous. And he even acknowledged, he said, listen, I'm sorry you went through that with the non-emergency line. He said, some people are, in this job for 30 years and they're, how did he word it? They're tired. And I said, well, sir, I said, do you have children? Because I don't know if you do or not. And I said, you don't have to tell me, but if you have kids. He said, no, I had kids. So I looked him straight in the eye. I said, what if this was your daughter who was, attacked after me and never had a good outcome like I did? And he said, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. You should be trusting the police and whatnot. And I said, yeah, that's right. So I don't care if the lady was working for 1 day or 30 years or whatever. How many people could she potentially kill with an attitude like that? It's not extreme. It's the truth. You could be ruining people's lives if you don't take this down. Anyway, so he comes back and he says to me, I said, well, okay, so you got the description of the guy, you got the picture. Did you see him running around tailing me in the store? And he said, well, Linda, there's fake cameras in the store. So we only got him coming into the store, and he shows me the picture, and I wish I had it because then I would show you guys, but he had it on his cell phone, and he showed me, and it was just of the guy in a black hat, which I explained this in my last video, black hat, black shirt, shorts, black shoes, black hat, black headphones around his neck, and as he's walking into the store, his head is down, so you could only see like the brim of his hat, which is interesting because you're thinking, this guy knows that there's no cameras. So that's great. So that's disheartening, which ties into what I should have done. So for those of you, please go see that other video because it is important. And I give some tips too about, surroundings and whatever. And another note, he did say to me, which was good. He said, I'm trained in surveillance. And I'm really impressed how you went to the different areas in the store while he was tailing you. I said, yeah, because I wanted to know if he was actually following me. I didn't want to jump the gun and think, there's some young buck taking a look at me. I didn't want it to be a big deal, but if it was, I wanted to make sure, right? And he was following me, and it was just weird. So, it ended up being just a picture the officer got, which is really disheartening, but maybe other girls will also call this in if they'll take it seriously, and then maybe they can see where this guy's little pattern is. Obviously, he has his little favorites, and a guy like that isn't going to just do a one and done. He'll keep doing it. So there's a few things that I should have done. What I should have done is taken my phone out, which it was out, but I should have filmed him. And I didn't. I just was trying to think of how do I get out of here safely. I didn't want to stay in the store I didn't know if there was 3-4 guys out there waiting for me. I didn't know if they're coming out from a different way or coming in from a different way. I had no idea what this guy's plan was. All I just saw is I saw him in the line of sight and get the heck out. So in retrospect, I should have put my phone out. Now, some people, and thank you for the comments, because there's been a lot of comments, and we'll talk about a couple of them in a minute, but the comments were excellent. You guys gave some excellent advice. One of the things a lot of people were saying, well, maybe you should have just put your phone in front of him and said, excuse me, like, why are you following me type thing. And I did talk to the officer about that. And he had 2 views on it as well. He said, well, yeah, I would condone, like, I would say go for it. Like, ask him straight up why you're following me. But at the same time, I don't know how much mental problems this guy has, right? So for me, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to tick this guy off because I don't know what he's going to do. But at the same time, I can see how sometimes just stopping them, it'll make them go choose another victim. Luckily, I was okay going out, but it has spooked me a bit. And I had another scary story after that, and I just don't feel like talking about it. Maybe one day I'll talk about it, but it happened a couple of days later. But right now, I'm not. I just don't want to. So, that's what I would do different, is probably record him without him even seeing, or just, nonchalantly and not so much, what's the word, confrontational, if you know what I mean. I just wanted to get out. Now, there was a comment, and I have to address this because it's important. Women and men need to be staying safe, because this kind of stuff happens to men too. So I'm not discounting that. I can only speak for me because I'm a woman. But a woman said in the comments that I shouldn't be wearing a bright pink shirt and bringing attention to myself. Now, this, in my opinion, is the wrong way to look at it. I could wear whatever I want. You could wear whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I could wear a paper sack and walk into a grocery store, and someone can still choose me to attack, to whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with a pink shirt or a bright shirt. She says something about, well, I did my hair and I'm all done up and going to the grocery store. No, I'm just going to the grocery store to get some food. Doesn't give anybody a right to go and take what they want, right? So, and in saying that, back to the store, the officer at first went, well, maybe the guy was a loss prevention guy. It's like, no, sir, I respectfully disagree. This guy is not loss prevention. My gut told me otherwise, which my gut was right, because he did phone me and say, you're right, Linda, this guy was not loss prevention. We double checked and he's not. So the other thing that was a lot of comments about as well is, in my last video I talked about zip ties, and that has to do with trafficking. Now, some people said, well, Linda, that's just a farce, or it turned out to be a myth. There's a lot of people that this is happening to. And now listen, just because somebody says it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true. Myth, okay, but you're going, yeah, but that's what it means. That's not what I mean. People could be talking about that, and then somebody could say, that's a really great idea, that's what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean maybe it's not a big, huge trafficking ring, but maybe that's how the guy chooses his victims, and all of a sudden you see zip ties. You don't know. There was one recently that this woman had a pamphlet on her front window, and she was freaked out. She didn't know if it was anything wrong or not, but no one else had a pamphlet except for her, so she got in her car and just took off, and never mind what's ever on the window. You just don't know, because people are crafty, right? And you just don't know. So that's what the zip ties thing is. People are going to disagree, they'll agree, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is there's something weird going on, and people do that. It could be an outlier, that maybe that's not a big thing around across the country, even though there's a lot of videos on it, but maybe it's, somebody local who's like deciding, yeah, that's a great idea, I'm going to go do that, right? So going forward, I would change, not everything. I think I handled it fairly well, what I did. I notified the girl behind the desk. I kept my eye on the guy. I just kept thinking, I got to get out of here. When I left the place, I didn't drive in any direction that I wanted to go in. It was more the opposite. I just went and drove until this guy was gone. And then I thought I should phone the officers to make it known that this guy has it. This is the description. I want them to know what happened in case there's other people. And then to find out that the cameras are fake except for the front door is absolutely ridiculous. I get that it's a deterrent, but you can't spend the $200 or $500 or even $1,000 on a proper system. Like, come on. Maybe 20 years ago that, it's crazy in the amount, but not these days. Ridiculous. So, so there was a comment too about the pink shirt and whatever. That's ridiculous. There's lots of comments. Everybody, actually, I encourage you to go read all the comments in my last video. Watch it, read the comments, because the other thing is you'll start to notice how many people have a story about the same thing happening to them. So it's not like once in a while and you never hear of it. Some people are unaware of this happening because people don't talk about it. But I bet you could talk to anybody, and so I'm talking woman to woman and woman to man too, because I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There's women who stalk men, so don't take that the wrong way. I could just speak about women and hearing from other women over the years and watching my comments. It's just comment after comment about this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. So we gotta stay aware. We gotta have that situational awareness. There's people up to no good, and got to act fast. So that I was thankful for, and I'm just thankful. And I'm thankful to the officer who took me serious, because that non-emergent line didn't, and he was the good guy. So he came through, and he had compassion, and he had kindness, and he actually took it seriously and then said, I'm going to go look myself. Now, the other thing too, what was I going to say? Right before, while he was sitting down, he came to sit down and he's like, whew, is everything okay? He goes, yeah, I just was talking to a guy who hated the police, so I had to sit there for quite some time listening to him get mad at me and tell me how much he hates the police. I was like, well, I'm not here to tell you any of that. I just want to tell you what happened and then see if we can fix this. I said, because I'm not here for just me. I'm here for the dozens and hundreds of women after me that may encounter this guy. So that's what happened. Like I said, there was another scary thing that happened a couple days later. Not ready to talk about that. I'm a little bit perturbed by that. But just know I'm okay. Things are going to be okay. Hopefully they catch this guy and he doesn't have to be a pig again. If this happens again, hopefully it doesn't. But if it happens to me, I will bring out my camera. And if I have to go live, I'll go live. And then it'll really capture it. So thank you to all of you who were watching the video, shared the video with your friends or your family members. It's so important. And now, as I'm walking outside and I'm really paying attention to other women, it's crazy how they have the faces in their phones, walking to the car, going in to open the car, and I'm really noticing that more on a grander level. So sorry, my alarm keeps going off and it's stopping my video. Super annoying. So be careful. Let me know below what your thoughts are on this non-emergency line and what happened, and also with the fact that there was no cameras. I love you guys. Check out the other video, and we'll see you in the next video. September is here, which means more and more videos are coming. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.